Thank you for clicking on today's video. Basically, in this video, we're going to look at doing a few game testing, just going to run it by some of my favorite games, and really just going to focus on doing 1080p testing and see how it performs. So I'm basically just going to look at this. If you guys are looking at trying to do a budget build, if you're coming from an older system and you're trying to see if a 5600X and a 3060 is going to make or break your decision at 1080p, specifically testing at 1080p, then this is the video for you. If you're new here, I go by NickyT and I love creating tech, gaming, and PC related build content. So at any point, if that resonates with you, then please hit that sub button. Drop a like on the video if you do enjoy it as you watch it. And then let me know down in the comments how you're feeling and if you want to see any other games tested. I am actually creating a build of a video series on the specific builds that I do and putting them in playlists so you guys can check that out. And I really want to show both from PC perspective of building it to providing insights into how to build it cheaper, what that upgrade path looks like, obviously gaming performance because it's what I really care about, stuff like that. So if that interests you, definitely check out the playlists and definitely hit that sub button. For the people that have no attention spans, gonna save you guys a click or for you from skipping ahead. This PC performed incredibly well through my testing. I definitely recommend you building this PC if you want to stay under that $800, $700 price point if you're willing to find used components. It's going to perform well in all of the titles in this video, anywhere from 60 to 100 plus FPS at high settings at 1080p. The only one that performed subpar was Borderlands 4, but obviously you guys you've seen videos on that, I'm sure you have. It's horribly unoptimized, it's UE5, it's difficult to run for any game system. So if you could, drop me a like if that affirmed your click, and if I saved you some time, then hit that sub button. But if you do want to see it, then let's jump into the video. All right, so we loaded into Borderlands 4, which by the way took forever. On my 4090, doing shaders and stuff is super fast. This took, honestly, maybe 15 minutes, so that took forever. But we loaded in, and right now we're on 1080p. I'm gonna crank the field of view up so we don't get motion sick. And then we're gonna start off on the very high preset. Let's just see what happens. So this is something that I didn't even know was a thing, was when you change graphic settings, it has to recompile shaders and actually has a loading bar. On my 4090, it's pretty much instant that it switches. It'll take like maybe 5-10 seconds. So I didn't even know this existed. Really interesting. That's why it's really interesting and why I want to make the content where I build a PC and then I really dig into it. Because I think a lot of optimization videos or guides out there, at least the way that I see it done, they don't actually, it's not a one size fits all. There's so many configurations that people have. And most people are going to be around this price point for their PC. And I think it's not a knock on other tech YouTubers or anything, but I just think it's so out of touch for most people when they make specific content on. I built the $4,000 gaming PC. Dude, nobody can really afford that. And I didn't even know this was an issue here. Changing your settings back and forth takes this much time. Just stuff like that. So definitely noted. I do remember saying that you should do this before you load in because it can take time to, you'll have to recompile shaders. I guess that's what they mean. So such a drastic difference between our creators. So we're on very high settings. We're at 30 FPS. Let's actually, I want to see what's all enabled here. So DLSS, I'm actually going to turn that. Does it have auto? No. So we're going to turn this to performance. Full resolution, we're gonna put that on boost. We're gonna leave all this, and then let's just leave it at this setting. Only thing that we really changed was DLSS, and let's see how we're doing. So even putting it on performance, we are 40 FPS. That's kind of crazy, and we are at 1920 by 1080. So I see why a lot of people were really upset about this game. Milliseconds for our frame time is about 25 up to 30. It hit 40 for a second there, which this to me is unplayable. Some people who have never played on high refresh may not honestly even notice, especially if you're used to playing around 30 FPS or integrated graphics or something like that. This is very comparable to integrated graphics experience. I grew up playing on integrated graphics, and let me tell you, man, it is a big difference when you finally build a PC with a graphics card. Let's actually go in here and we're gonna go to the high preset, not change anything else, and just use the high preset. Got us up to about 40 FPS. To those 1% lows that are underneath, that are like 24 FPS, those are hurting for sure. You can feel those. That's just painful. Remember, this is at 1080p as well. I think I've done enough on this. I want to try to see if we can get better frames. So we're just gonna go medium, put it on performance, volumetric clouds, low, lighting quality, reflection quality. Probably turn those to low. Post processing, put on medium. Good old shaders. So it feels a little bit better. We're up around 50 FPS here, 40s. This is the least playable at this point. I also forgot how to play this because I was playing this game on controller actually. I remember I got these grenades and they're crazy. Look at that. This is the least playable at this point. It's still too much. It's pretty rough. Ultra performance, which looks like mud on 1080p. This is not playable. So honestly, I think your best bet is play this game on low, unfortunately. Let's see how we're doing. 60 FPS finally. Problem is my GPU is not even being fully utilized. It's at 85%. Although this does feel smooth finally. Well, maybe that's what you have to do. You have to play this game on low. Which honestly, low doesn't look terrible in this game, but you definitely start to lose a lot. Everything is just smooth. Borderlands, I think, is a game where if you play it on low, because it's cel shaded, I think it still looks decent, but you might be able to play around with textures and stuff. It's just rough. All right, so I think I'm gonna close that one out as far as Borderlands, and let's move on to the next title. So we've actually loaded into the finals, and I've actually recently started playing this game, mainly because it's made by Embark. I never actually played it up until recently, and just what I actually been jumping in and enjoying it. I think it's a fun arcade shooter, and I think it's pretty cool with all the different verticals and destruction. It's pretty cool that it's like ex-DICE people too that formed Embark. And that's when I think, if you guys don't know, I think they worked on Battlefield 3, if I remember correct, or maybe 4, or was it Bad Company, something like that. But you can definitely see a lot of differences in here between the way Battlefield flows. But I think overall this game it's really awesome and it's fun to play. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna load in with no frame gen, DLSS, auto. We'll put on a transformer model. We're gonna crank up that field of view. No motion blur. Ray tracing on low, and we're just gonna put it on, let's put it on high settings. Epic, again, if you guys know my opinion, Epic I think is a waste unless you have a really powerful PC. It just takes so much. It really does take so much away from your PC as far as performance and the overall smoothness, and then how much horsepower it takes to run that for not that much gain in fidelity. So we just started the recording, set this up. So far this is running great. Looks like GPU is performing pretty well as expected. It's being well utilized. CPU is sitting around 75% usage, and GPU is around 97, so pretty balanced.
The mighty sure pack a punch, and they've started to unpack Vault 1.
This feels really smooth. About to three-piece these kids. Dang, almost got all three of them. I just started playing this game too. If I put some time into this, I feel like this could be a super competitive, fun game to play. This pistol is so nasty. 90 FPS, 42 min. Average, we're sitting 84 FPS. Super good. This looks really great. Where's my teammate that whole fight? Where was my teammate? He just ran away. I was like helping him out and he just dipped. That dude's aim was super sticky. All right, let's see. Honestly, I think the finals test might be pretty straightforward and quick. You can play this high settings, no problem. Your milliseconds, 9 to 12, so it's fast enough. I'd probably get this down lower if I were you. This game is very high paced, fast paced. Got that kid. Let's see if I can bounce over there. Nice. Where's my teammate here? Be a good teammate. If you play games that are team games, where's your teammates? Let's see how it does.
This is exactly what the
Definitely higher than I would like it as far as your frame time milliseconds, but if you're targeting 60 FPS at 1080p on epic settings, then this build is for you. All right, I think I've concluded my test on the finals, so pretty happy with it, honestly. I think if you're looking to play the finals specifically, this is going to be a great build for you. Build 6, and we put it on the high preset, so I'll show you guys that real quick. So we are on custom high preset, pretty much just left everything alone except for cranking up field of view, and we're 1920 by 1080 and 320 hertz. So let's see how we perform. We're pretty much sitting anywhere between like 80 and 90, with our 1% lows being around 50, 60. So overall it feels pretty smooth. This map is absolute trash, by the way. Worst map it could have spawned me into. However, we are in all-out warfare, so there's a lot of explosions, a lot going on. You see we dipped into the 60s right there. But our milliseconds is good, so as far as our frame time, about anywhere from 9 to 14, which is very playable. Where did that guy come from? See if I can shoot this guy that's up there. Beaming these guys down there. At least we got that guy. We got sniped in the back though, so overall though, this is very playable. I'm really impressed with how well this is handling it. Something that you'll notice though is this is a very demanding CPU intensive game as well as GPU. My 3060 is pretty much sitting anywhere 97-98%, and the processor, my 5600X, is actually sitting around 90+%, almost having some cores get pegged at 100. But it's pretty close. Honestly, I think we might be a little CPU bound in this. You could easily play this game in high. I don't even think there's a reason to test anything lower, but let's see. Let's do medium preset. Or what's this balanced preset? We'll do balanced. Actually, I want more control. Put it on medium. All right, we're gonna run medium, and we're gonna see how this performs. So I think all it does is it just puts more load on my CPU. Probably CPU bound. And this game is rough to play without headphones. And I have to do some gameplay of me just absolutely locked in. Headphones on and everything. If you guys are new here though, I do like to stream, so you guys can check those out. Trying to get back into streaming more consistently. It just takes up a lot of time, and right now I'm really trying to crank out YouTube videos. But overall, I think I'm just gonna end this one here. I think Battlefield performed great. You can easily run this game on high settings, no issues. With that being said, I think just looking back at the games of choice so far, all of them have run great except for Borderlands 4. This PC is still able to play newer games, really no issues, as long as the game isn't too completely demanding or horribly unoptimized. Borderlands. But so far it's performing really well. I just have one more game to test, and that's one of my favorite titles. All right, last up, we have one of my favorite games, Total Warhammer 3. I grew up playing all of the Total War games, especially the Warhammer games. Huge Warhammer fan, by the way. If you guys are, then we have that in common. But we're just gonna do, honestly, just gonna use the benchmark for this one. It's pretty straightforward. I really like just using the benchmark in this. I think it does a good job. We're gonna just leave. We're gonna do everything on the high preset, and unit size I actually put to ultra. And we're just gonna run with that. Texture quality, I guess, is on ultra. We'll put that on high though for the test. And then we're just gonna benchmark this and see how it performs. Something that I love about this game is you really get that grand scale, and I think they did an amazing job at capturing Warhammer Fantasy and bringing it to life. But I usually use this test because it is pretty CPU intensive generally, since there's so many different units out on the field and stuff like that. But it's both demanding for both GPU and CPU. So let's see how it performs. So far, it looks like it's doing pretty good. Remember, we're on high. This is on 1080p. It is a rather difficult game to get very high FPS. So I think if you're anywhere, probably around 80 to 100 is a really good sweet spot for this game. Because once you start getting more and more units on the field, you can have several armies. You can actually have a lot of explosions, especially when you're using magic or artillery, things like that. There's going to be explosions everywhere, things going on. It's very fast. I think that gives you a buffer. So right now, though, sitting around 60, with our 1% low being around 50, GPU is completely maxed out. So GPU is at 99%, CPU is sitting around 30-40%. So in that scenario, that's a good example of being GPU limited. And as you can see, even having 12 gigabytes of VRAM, you're only using, in this game specifically, a little over 5 gigs of VRAM, 5.2. So it's not going to even come into a factor here. If you were thinking about building a PC for specifically Warhammer, then you'd probably want to build something like a 3070 or higher. You can always tell if you're GPU limited by your processors. One, it's not being fully utilized, and your GPU just sits at 99% just the whole time. So average 67. Honestly, not bad though. I think pretty good. I want to do the campaign benchmark before we end it off. Campaign is very detailed, it's large, there's a lot of computing going on with all the different factions moving troops around the field and all the different things happening. So it's actually pretty difficult for your PC to actually run the campaign map. It's actually pretty demanding overall. You actually, a lot of times I find you get better performance in battle than you do on the campaign map. But overall, the loading speed is very fast, if you guys noticed that. So you can see we're actually sub 60 in the campaign map. 1% low is actually around 30. So to me, this would indicate actually turning down settings, but up to you. It's all preference, I think. As long as you're around that 60 FPS. Personally, I would rather turn settings down or do a mix of medium high and give myself more headroom to have a stable frame rate and a improved lower latency frame time. I personally like that. I like my games feeling smooth. But with that being said, you can easily play it this way. It's pretty good. Considering this is a very demanding title, definitely needs, I think it needs an update. This engine also doesn't even have DLSS or FSR built into it. It could go a long way if it did. Surprised that they never implemented that. I don't know how difficult it is to implement in games like this. I don't know how well it would work too with all the different units and trying to get all of the DLSS to work and not look fuzzy around them. Maybe that's why, I don't know. 56, so again, you'd want to turn some of these down. Remember, unit sizes on ultra, the rest are on high. But I think that's all I really wanted to test for this, just to see how the benchmark worked. Again, this is one of my favorite games, so it's important for me to use this one in my testing, and I think it gives a really good representation of a strategy side instead of playing all the shooters that I like to do. But I actually love playing strategy games as well. Grew up on Command and Conquer and everything like that. So this just kind of takes me back to that, and they're just honestly more chill. You can just sit back and play them. So that's going to conclude the testing for today. I think overall, the PC performed amazingly. I think this PC punches above its weight class. I think if you're looking to build a PC and save some money and you're willing to look on Facebook Market or Java, eBay even, I would recommend doing more in person, or buying through Java seems to be pretty safe. But definitely try to find used components. You can still build this PC, save a ton of money, and not overspend right now with how crazy the market is. I saved a ton of money on this PC by buying either on sale items or used items. So you can easily still play some of the newer games, 1080p for this specific test, but definitely want to check those out. I think for sure, I recommend building this PC. I think it's going to satisfy the majority of the gaming community that have the budget to do so. And if it's going to be your first PC, I think it's a lower cost option to get into. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, then please hit that sub button. I'm really trying to grow this YouTube channel, and drop a like on it if you did enjoy it. And let me know down in the comments, were you surprised with some of the results? I definitely was, both good and bad. But primarily, I was surprised with how well this PC performed. I think overall, unless the game is horribly unoptimized, this is still gonna knock it out of the park. But I'm gonna leave this video off here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.